It's kind of foolproof and everybody can make it. It's way easier to not stretch the ring. We want to just keep that round shape going. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today I have a very classic ring to show you. But the thing I like the most about it, that we have technique, that it's kind of foolproof and everybody can make it. I do have a very old antique ring with the same shape, and this style of a ring usually is made by melting metal, just to creating wax projection and melting that into the shape. But we're doing that straight on the metal, and I was always like spinning my head how to make that shape, how to make it happen. Because sometimes I get a bit of obsessive about shapes and I want to make it work. But at the same time, I want to repeat them as well. So if you want to repeat something, you have to find quite simple solution how to make that happen. And actually, I do have it for you, for this ring. And it's truly such a stunning ring. I won't tell you that it's a very easy project, but it's easy technique to nail. I showed you the same technique when I was doing my hammered hoops. So this technique will be the same, but we're using 3 different aspects. That's why it makes a different shape. So I will show you everything. And I think we have to start this. And we're starting everything with cutting the shape that we need. When we made hammered hoops, I was using the same technique like I'm using here, but this time we're working with thicker metal. The sheet is 1 millimeter thick, and be aware that we will be curving the ring, so it will get smaller. We need bigger size. This part you will actually have to test it yourself, because it depends on how much you want to curve the ring. Maybe for you it would be enough to have smaller curve, or if you want bigger curve, because I began with 2 size bigger ring and end up with 2 size smaller ring. So it really depends what kind of result you want from this. Then we have to actually make a ring out of the sheet. It's easier to do that on a ring bender. I do have one, but if you don't have one, it's a very good option to have punches like I'm showing you, because you can do so many different things with it. And with ring bender, we don't have in between sizes. And with punches, we have 12, 13, 14, which is actually great when you need exact size. And I have to announce that this video is sponsored by GRANDE, which is a huge jewelry supply store where I can find everything I need for my jewelry making. I always buy silver from them. I have a lot of tools from the site as well. It's very qualified and it's very easy to shop on the site. They have different categories for everything that you might need for your jewelry making. And they're giving you a code with $20 off of your shipping price. So use it until we have it. Thank you, GRANDE, for sponsoring this video. When we have the ring shape going, then we have to make a very good seam. We have to touch perfectly, because this is thick metal. And if you want your seam would be kind of seamless, because we're going to that result, we want to have a very good connection. That correction with the saw is a must. We're creating a tension, then we're cutting with the saw, and we have perfect connection to solder. A lot of times while we're cutting, saw gets stuck. So in that part, just relax your saw blade and usually it just fixes itself, because at that point, we don't want to push on it. If we will, it will break. Finally, we can solder our ring, and I'm keeping all that footage here so you can see exactly how long it takes to heat up the ring, because this thickness of the metal needs a lot of heat. That's why we're spinning around, because it's easier to get that heat circulating around the ring. Going in a circle, heat circulates way better than it would be like on a flat sheet. That's why it's easier to heat that up evenly, and we have a very beautiful seam. Now I'm just taking my flat file and correcting all that seam and taking all that solder out of my piece, because you don't want any solder left over. We want as even seam as it can be, because after this step we need to correct, because this is like a D shape now. We need a round, beautiful ring. And because we have flat spaces, I'm just using flat files. This one broke. I was very sad about it, but I still can use it, and actually it works pretty well. Because when the tool is closer to your fingers, actually it's way easier to use it. And in this case, I can't even use long file because my upper part of the ring, it's a bit higher than that bottom part of the ring. This broken file served me pretty well, I would say. Now when we don't have any solder on our ring, we actually can shape it. And I'm doing that with rawhide mallet because it's way easier to not stretch the ring. We want to just keep that round shape going, but not to stretch it to make size bigger, unless you want to make size bigger. But in this case, I'm using just rawhide mallet and making that ring round. And this part is crucial to turn upside down your ring while you're hammering, because ring mandrel is not straight round, it's graduating with sizes. So you can make lower size of the ring bigger than it would be upper size of the ring. Inside of the ring will tell you everything you need to know, because all that shine will show you where your hammer is hitting and touching with that ring mandrel, and where you see those matte spaces you need to come back and hammer those again. All that's left to do until we can play with this ring, finally, we have to correct the edge of the ring. Shape is not fully flat. We want to keep that a higher point on the top of the ring because we want to curve it the most. While we're filing, we're keeping 90 degrees angle on the surface because we want to keep that shape the same, but we're just correcting some spaces with the file to make it more even on both sides of the ring. After filing, I love to use sponge if I can. It's 400 grit wet and dry sponge, because you can use sponge where you don't want to change anything. So you're just uniforming the surface, that it would be gliding more, blurring more, you know, that's why I'm using that. So it's truly mainly for the surface, and we want to make shape happen before we're coming with the sponge, because sponge has that softness, has that hugging effect. So all that piece will get a bit rounded, you want it or not, because it's the purpose of the sponge. We want to anneal our ring because our metal has to be soft. We did a lot of hammering, so our ring is hard fully. We won't move it anymore. I actually forgot to sand my inside of the ring, so I had to come back after annealing and do that. And it is very important because when we will curve our ring, it will be very hard to reach the inside of the ring. So when you are preparing your pieces for another step in your jewelry making, you always have to be very thoughtful where that piece is going, because some parts you actually can't reach after some steps. So it really becomes a strategical point to make that piece to come to the view that you want to see that piece. It takes lots of practice and years. It's not easy to think about every step when you're starting or you're in the middle. Sometimes I miss some steps even now, but then you repeat before once and you're good to go. And I have a lot of experience how to solve my problems, you know, like throughout 6 years for sure. You get that feeling of it, but it's better not to forget. Okay, so now we are finally shaping the ring to the curve. In this part, we're repeating a lot of steps because we can't curve 1 millimeter thick of a metal immediately. It's going through phases. We anneal the piece, we come back again. If you see that your piece is not moving, not curving, anneal the piece more, because it's better to have extra annealing than to just split your ring somewhere. That's why we had to make that seam perfect as well, because it is a lot of force and pressure when we're actually trying to curve our ring. So anneal it more throughout the steps if you need to do that, because better to be careful, better to have the insurance than just go and push more because you're lacking out of patience, you know, like I have to say that to myself as well. Now we're correcting inside of the ring because you can see that it's not fully round anymore, because you get to that misshaping point when you are forcing metal to curve, but it's very easy to fix it. Of course, we have to anneal it first, and then we are fixing everything with a ring mandrel. And we can't go with the hammer onto the ring anymore, so we're just like pushing it down and turning it around, pushing that again, repeating that as much as we need just to get that round inside. And we have a very beautiful round inside. You can tell that from the shine going around your ring. That's your indicator that you did a good job. Now it's the sanding part, which means that we're going to the end. For this ring, I chose Mirror Shine, and for that, I can't go without Triple E or Rouge. I just can't. It's just the only thing that force my piece to be as shiny as I want that piece would be. And the wheels, of course. If you think that you would ever polish your ring with a hand without polishing machine, it's very naive to think like that. I worked a long time without polishing machines, and there is no other way how to get that uniform shine. There is no other way. I just had to tell you that because I've been in that place where I was just working with hand polishing tools, and it will never reach the point of your satisfaction when it comes to polishing. At least it didn't reach mine. Of course, you can't use it on every piece. It's impossible. Sometimes you're just stuck with your hand polishing tools, and that's a very sad story because we spend a long time there. But if you can get your hands on a machine and you can use that jewelry piece for the machine, it's the only way, really. Okay, now all that's left just to finish that flush tone setting and polish a bit more. I have full dedicated video just about flush stone setting. If you're interested, I truly recommend to watch it. Here I'm coming just with the ZAM and very soft bristle brush. You don't want to have any harsh compound or hard bristle brush when it comes to this stage. And voila, we have a very beautiful shiny ring. I have a finished product. I put it in the box because it's like polished and everything is looking shiny and clean. I put myself on a challenge just to flush set 7 stones. So if you want to know how to do that, I have a very in-depth video about flush setting. And from your very good feedback, I can recommend that video for everyone. I truly talked in depth and in action at the same time. Yeah, so check it out if you're interested in flush setting. If you have questions or suggestions, I'm always waiting in that comment section for sure. Maybe you have suggestion how to make that dome shape in different way. I would be very, very excited to read it. I'm sure we all would be, because everything is about dooming and shaping. The metal is just what I'm after. So let me know if you have something for us all. And yeah, I hope you like it. And I will see you in my next one.